I started the project in probably 1999. It was just a fun thing to do to get a bit of interest and a bit of excitement, and I thought it would be actually quite a simple solution to getting a world record. Yeah, that hope quickly evaporated, and I got stuck into the very technical challenge. Doing something which is a genuine world first in a very high-tech environment. You know, it's not how many baked beans you can eat in a minute, and it's not how much cash you've got or how big an engine you've got. You know, using the wind, you really have to provide an engineering solution to minimising drag and obviously maximising the force you can gain from the wind. Once you've done that, you then got to be very lucky with the weather. You know, it's infinitely harder challenge than I first thought when I took the project on all those years ago. You know, you do your best to analyse weather patterns and weather charts and weather records from different locations around the world to try and maximise your chances of getting weather record conditions. And this place ranks pretty up there. You've got the space, you've got the traction, and you normally have very predictable wind in that you can see it from a long way away. The big systems come in, so you get 2 or 3 days warning. And this year is incredibly unusual. Now it's just starting to rain. The jet stream is much further south this year than it normally is, and that means that the low systems are about 1,000 miles further south, keeping the wind well away from us, and the high pressures which bring either sunny weather or troughs like this where you get scattered showers and very still, muggy conditions. Well, today it's the first proper wind we've had all in the last 2 weeks, and it's incredibly frustrating. We've got like 4 to 5 inches of water here, so we're just going to go and measure the water depth and see if we want to drag it through the water, which is really bad for the bearings, or whether you actually want to lift it over the causeway and run in the smaller ponds on the left here. Yeah, it's still 13 here, and it hasn't sunk in at all, so it's still hard. The conclusion is that this is just way too deep, and it's getting deeper. As the wind's pushing up, the water's banking up on this side, so I'm really reluctant to drag it through 3 to 4 miles of deep salt water, which will destroy a lot of the bearings on the craft. So we're just going to basically pick it up, carry it over the causeway, and get some testing in the pond on the other side. It's only a couple of k's long, so we're not going to get very high speeds, but it will at least allow us to test various control systems.
Being the first run, there's always a bit of anticipation and always a bit of nervousness, and no matter who you are or how many times you've done this, you can have sailed band sailors for 40 years, and anytime you build a new boat and get in it for the first time, it is a nervous time. But it's also a very exciting time because it can work and your ideas can work, and the prospect of setting a record is always an exciting thing for anybody, no matter what the record is.
You wouldn't want to be claustrophobic for sure. Once your shoulder's actually below the structure, so you're pretty actually secured in, which is actually good because you get shaken around quite a lot when you're cornering. It helps to keep you in one place.
Ready, Richard? Well, the wind is failing right now, and it's only blowing maybe 10, and we really need 15 to get the boat up to speed, maybe 12, but that's a pretty fine line when the wind is so up and down like this, and we really need another squall to blow through and pick the wind up again. Once it gets up to speed, because it creates a certain amount of its own wind, when it gets up to speed, it should be able to stay up to speed even if the wind drops below 12. It's just a matter of getting it started in this amount of wind.
No, it was well below the starting wind speed, so trying to get going in those wind speeds is hopelessly over-enthusiastic. But when you've got a crowd of people wanting to see it run, you may as well give it a go. Now the rain's disappointing, but it's a small shower. It's a trough passing, so it won't add a significant more amount of water to the lake in this little pond here. Probably added about a millimetre, maybe half a millimetre, and that's roughly quarter of a day of drying. So yeah, it puts back the drying time by quarter of a day, but it's not the end of the world. Yeah, no, it's so far right now from record conditions. I'm not sort of too worried about it. You have to just live with it. It is what it is, and it'll hopefully get better. We had a pretty bad forecast yesterday. So it was going to rain, but traditionally you have small sort of showers which pass us by, but about 3 or 4 o'clock we got a shower which sort of covered the entire lake and sort of carried on going until about 9 or 10 at night. A similar rain event happened about 6 weeks ago, and what we saw when we arrived here was after 6 weeks of drying. So realistically, you know, this lake's looking at 4 to 6 weeks before it becomes even remotely usable for us now. But you know, there's not much you can do about it. It's part of the challenge and part of the difficulty of this record. Pretty used to the weather not cooperating, so it's no huge surprise. Probably even more of a surprise when it does cooperate finally. I think when that will happen, we'll have to wait and see. Once you make the decision that, you know, this venue is, you know, is screwed for this season, there is no point in staying here other than to drink beer. So we'll pack it up today. We'll get everything cleaned up and probably hit the road first thing tomorrow to go back to the base down south. There is only one route forward, and that's to obviously persist. There's nothing that persistence won't overcome. It's just a case of regrouping and coming back. I guess either the next weather window is going to be March in America if we had the funds to get the vehicle there, and the next window after that we'll be back here at the same time next year.